All right, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are on our beloved planet. This is Paula Connor here with Elevate Me Hub, and I'm here together with my beautiful sisters from all over the world, Tara, Chrissy, and Nina. So as we always begin our little conversations, this one definitely is a message of hope, and we're calling it the wake-up call, but let's drop into our hearts, or up into our hearts first, so we can get into a place of coherence, and then we can all be in a heart space while we share. So focus your attention on the area of the heart, imagining that your breath is flowing in and out of the heart space, breathing in and out a little slower and deeper than usual. A count of 4 to 5 seconds is a great place to start, or whatever is most comfortable for you, and then activate a feeling of gratitude. And let's hold that here just for a few moments, a few breaths. And bring it back. And so as we shared before, during these times, the only way out is in, out of the mind and into the heart, because the mind will always fail us. The intellect will always fail us, but the heart will never, ever fail us. And so we want to call this the message. This is a message of hope and the wake-up call. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to share a little story of what's happening in my world directly. Maybe to help level set what's taking place, where we're all being challenged, and then the tools that we're using to help us. Because as long as we've got tools and we use them, we can deal with no matter what challenge is put our way. So I'll take a few minutes. I want to illustrate sort of like this is about one side is breaking down, one part of our reality is breaking down, and another is being birthed. So this is a loved one of mine, and the picture they give me is, you know, when you get like a punch to the stomach, it's like this is like 4 booms, like boom, 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 boom. So a loved one of mine, the first boom, you can't do this job anymore. I'm sorry, but you might be able to do this other one because you haven't received so-and-so. Okay, the response is, I'll have to think about that, right? This is after a 30-year career. I think most of you know what my family member does. And so he says, I'm going to have to think about that. And he goes to the doc. And while he's having a conversation, I've been learning tarot. I do a little bit of a tarot reading. And at the same time, he's talking to the doctor and they're taking blood pressure, 220 over 140. We need to rush you to the hospital right now. No, I'll drive. This person had thought themselves into a tizzy to the point that their blood pressure was that high, and then had to use the breathing techniques to settle themselves down, because they're now in probably one of the most unsafest places right now. The hospital is not a safe place to be right now. And, you know, you don't know whether or not they're going to force the jibby jobby or, you know, any of that stuff. Needless to say, talks themselves down, gets out of the mind and into the heart, settles down, is allowed to go home finally. Third boom, gets an urgent call from the same doc over the weekend. You need to come back immediately. Another medical issue has presented. Fourth boom, goes to visit a family member to wish happy birthday. And the patriarch of the family says, you people are the problem. You people are the ones, this is a parent, this is a loved one. You people are the problem. You are dividing the family. Other members don't want to be around people like you that have refused to take so-and-so. So this is 4 booms. 4 booms, the only way out is in. And so this individual is now forced to pay attention to everything they've ignored before. Poor eating habits, poor sleeping habits, not exercising, all of those things before. It's like, no, I'm good. No, I'm okay. I'm good. No problem. Was walking around not even having an idea that the BP was 220 over 140, which is apparently as I say, they wanted to rush him to the hospital. So with respect to the JOB, right? I'm saying your soul is asking you to leave. It's time to move, because this organization no longer supports the individual that you are now, and that what that organization doesn't support why you signed up originally, because they're turning into brown shirts, right? They're behaving like brown shirts. So the soul is saying it's time to move. And at the same time, all of this is happening to my loved one, I can see that there's tremendous opportunity and potential for growth and expansion, because I'm seeing aspects of myself that I've not seen before, attributes, you could say. These have been completely unknown to me. And this is specifically my energy field. I'm aware of my energy field in ways I've never known before. So this is pretty trippy and it's new. So it's like a presence. And then I see that when my energy is amplified, it can be pretty overpowering, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be showing up in the world like that. That's appropriate when you need to establish very strong boundaries. So, I mean, I'm looking at aspects of myself there, but the potential and the opportunity that I've been shown, which I haven't like unpacked or figured out yet, is things like I'm taking an acupressure. I'm learning acupressure. And as I shared, I'm learning tarot. Just why not learn? I love learning. The more I can learn, right? When I close my eyes and I'm thinking about the meridians, I can actually see all of the meridians in a body, and I'm being shown points, connect this to this dot, connect that to that. That's completely new to me. And I've only just opened the book, which is new. And the same thing happens when I look at the tarot cards. It's like the characters in the tarot cards, they come alive like in a comic and start to tell me a story. And this is like very new, all new. And so I haven't really learned how to deal with all of that yet. And I'm still unpacking it, but I wanted to share it because even though something is collapsing, this incredible expansion is happening at the same time. And so I would say to anybody as I close this little opening, if you are, we've all shared here the same tools. The only way out is in, going into the heart. But if you feel like you need a hand to hold during this transition, I highly recommend this book. I'm doing a shameless plug. I don't get paid anything for promoting this book, but it's I Am the Word by Paul Selig, and they've been my guides for years. And in there, I opened up to a page before I came here, and I opened up the chapter on wonder, and wonder is a belief in what can be possible. And so we're closing the door on what we've been there, done that, and opening up this whole new world of wonder. So that's just what I wanted to share just in my world. And then when my partner was going from the head to the heart, head to the heart, head to the heart, he goes for a walk. I keep saying, you're not going to figure it out up here, because the intellect will always fail you. He goes for a walk. And of course, the universe can see what's happening. And he was gifted with a praying mantis. I didn't see it. He did on the same walk, a praying mantis, and then a stick bug, right? So the universe, as soon as we awaken, as soon as we like, okay, I'm paying attention, it feels to me like everything shifts. And it's like the whole world is looking at that individual now to support them in their own growth and consciousness. And I'll just leave it there. So that's what I wanted to sort of share. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, yeah. And my family is the same. So both of our immediate families, you people, you're the problem. You organic people are the problem. And so we are just immediate family now. We are down to 4 and have no extended family support at all. But I have my soul family, my soul sisters, who we seem to find each other no matter where we are in the world. So I'm going to go on mute now and hand the ball over to one of my dear beloved sisters to take over from here.
I'll jump in, why not? I love you, Paula. Thank you for sharing that. And I really feel you as well. I really hear you. It reminded me, I want to share about 2 other sisters, very close sisters of mine, that in the last month or so, have had extremely traumatic time with their partners, completely different women, don't even know each other, in totally different places in the world, where their partner, who is a bit of a different mindset, they're a bit more us, and their men are a little bit more less us. I don't know how else to say it, you know, not exactly, pro the masses, but just, kind of in between, just doing their thing, normal guys. And both of these guys have ended up going to hospital with a respiratory situation or a health situation that's put them in a hospital, where the danger level has increased dramatically since being in that place, and where both of these women have nursed their partners intensively for an entire week back from what they felt was going to be death. Both parties felt like this could be the moment when they go. Extreme health. And these women have nurtured their partners, given everything. And then in both situations, and one of them was an ultimatum situation, you get the double whammy or we're not together. And she was just like, what? And she'd given everything, been at the bedside, nursed this man, kept him alive. And then the other guy also left her. He didn't give her the same ultimatum, but he just left her. And so this massive heartbreak, massive wrenching of what this person, both of these women had considered like long-term partners, like true love partners, that felt like there was stability, felt like there was some certainty. And going to this near-death situation. And I feel like this whole topic of death, I know we've covered it before and talked about it before, but I'm feeling like this understanding of all of us in some way or other, every single one of us are having our own deaths of part of us. And the more that we have ignored and self-denied and stayed in ignorance or not taken care, not been conscious of our health, our well-being, our relationships, our others, our planet, whatever it is, where there's been a lack of consciousness and it's all been, stuffed under the surface, so to speak. When all of that comes up all in one go, because it's been left unattended, it's going to feel like an enormous death. And to some people, death literally does mean leaving the physical body. And for many people, it's also the transitioning, the having the apparent death or the feeling of death, the death experience, but while still in the body. Does that make sense? It's like whether it's an ego death, an identity death, whether it's such shifts that are happening in the hormones. Mm-hmm. That's what's been happening to me personally. I feel weird. I don't know what is going on with my hormones. I'm like, is it perimenopause? But I'm looking around at so many other women, and so many other women are having something very similar. And my partner was actually having strange hormonal stuff, but I gave him some supplements and that's leveled him out a bit. But my hormone, I couldn't even put my finger on it and tell you what it is. But it's like I'm changing, I'm transforming in my hormones, and I've got no control over it. It's just super weird. So it's kind of just riding it out and going, okay, this person that I related to as myself is no longer, is moving, is transitioning. Physically, on a DNA level, on a cellular level, so many things are changing. It's like that old structure, the old ways are literally dying. The old self, the old version of human, or what has been left ignored and unconscious, is rising up to be presented, and then that can feel like going through a death of some sort. And I mean, gosh, it's super scary for some people, a lot of people, I think. And so I guess what I'm trying to share is in this moment, and it is intense. I've been having quite an intense time, especially with all the retrogrades. I mean, really intense. With all different aspects of my life, actually. It's been one after another, boom, 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 like that, Paula, but in different aspects of life. I'm going, okay, let this whole thing die that I've been working on, or this whole idea, this whole path that I was on, okay, that's going to die. But what's happening is, as I allow it to die, as I allow something that I've created or something that I've invested in as myself to go through that transformation, to crumble, to die, to wither away, and staying with that consciously is an effort, and it requires total humility, being very, very simple, not trying to figure it all out with the mind, because that's enough to tip you over the edge, I think, if anyone tries to do that, to try and logically understand it. But almost just to drop in and just be present, just be in total simplicity, literally breathe and be with it and just stay present and allow that transformation, because then the revealing that's on the other side, like you were talking about, Paula, that revelation of this new path that opens, the new horizon that opens, the new aspect of self that wants to come through, the new information, that's the new choices that are ahead. It's like dying and being reborn in the body, and not everybody is up for that. So many people are saying, look, quick, let's all do this thing, and let's do some other things, which mean we don't have to go through a conscious death and rebirth, because then you can stay ignorant, you can stay unconscious, you don't have to deal with what's actually going on. I don't know if that's too general, but that's my perspective on it. And as I always share, the way that I navigate is through staying connected to my breath, staying with the simple, and self-love, deep self-acknowledgement of everything that's going on, with compassion, forgiveness, love. That for me gets me through everything.
And that's self-love. That self-love it's so important, right? Because when you do see aspects of yourself that you haven't seen before, and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't like that part. I didn't know that was there. I don't like it. You're mortified.
Well, being scared of it as well. Like, what does that mean? Who will I be if I'm less of this and more of that?
Yeah, and as these things are illumined, sometimes it's like, how am I supposed to be now? I don't like, you're kind of like, how am I supposed to be? Is it appropriate to be angry that somebody walked into my house uninvited and they're in the kitchen at 8:30 in the morning when they weren't supposed to be there? Is it fair to be angry and have that energy part that I feel like can come at people like a ton of bricks? Well, in that moment, that energy is appropriate, because you've overstepped some very significant boundaries. And at this point, you're an unwanted intruder. Well, in that sense, that energy would be appropriate to bring perhaps to the conversation, but not if it's like, not in that kind of context. But I think you're right, Tara. This is a huge identity crisis for humanity too. I don't know how anybody gets through it without self-love, to be honest. Yeah, because for me, it's like whatever else I've learned in my life and all these tools, and I've learned a lot of them because I've been in this a long time. It comes back down to me. It's like, can I love this about myself? And I felt the biggest mess, just a mess. I don't feel like my normal powerful Tara, not all the days. Some days I'll feel like, wow, I feel super powerful today and beautiful and I'm glowing. And other days I just feel a total mess and I don't know what's going on with my hormones and my body. And I'm just crying and I don't even know why. And things are changing around me. And I'm like, what is there to hold on to at the end of the day when it all crumbles? I breathe, I'm being breathed, I am loved, and I'm going to love myself back. Every little thing, every little painful, messy, all over the place, dying, rebirthing part of myself, and not even try and have to figure out, so, oh my goodness, what does that look like? What would it look like if I was now this aspect of myself that's being drawn out of me, where it is maybe more boundaried? It is a bit more, this is how it is, and I'm not going to apologize for it, or, whatever it is, that aspect of the personality or the sovereign self that's birthing, we don't know what that looks like. No, we don't. It's all so we can drive ourselves crazy trying to figure it out. And if you can't see it, which you can't, if it's unknown, you can only feel your way through, like that initiation through the 4th dimension to the 5th dimension. It's dark. You go on intuition, you go on heart, you go on feeling, and love is the one that lights the way. Love is always the one that lights the way. So
I don't know. I can only just recommend everybody discover self-love. And if you need help, come look me up. But I just don't know how anybody would do it otherwise.
I feel that with, oh, sorry. Were you going to say something, Nina?
It's okay. I can speak after you.
You go ahead, Chrissy, and then Nina.
Okay. No, because I just, when you said, I don't know how anyone can get through this without self-love, it's like, if you don't, it's self-destruct.
Yeah.
That is, it's very black and white at the moment. It really is. Because what you're saying, Tara, about feeling sort of hormonal differences, possibly early menopause, I've been having the same, and I've been seeing sides of myself which I didn't know were still so prevalent in me, and they have been so full on that I was literally like, have I not learned anything in all these years? Am I completely still like I was when I was a kid? And I would yell at people, I would do this, I would stamp my foot, and I would, you know, and it's been, of course, being reflected back by the people around me as well, who've clearly, seen me being more extreme than I've ever been. It's like, it's almost like the monster has come out to play. And I can totally imagine that if I hadn't applied certain self-love techniques through consciousness, I could have easily gone into self-destruct mode. And I really, really understand that it's a very black and white time. It's either you face it through self-love, accept it, because somebody said yesterday to me, they were asking me, Chrissy, are you striving for perfection? Because it's never going to happen. And it was such a simple thing. But once she asked it, I was like, am I doing that? Yes, I am doing that. I'm trying to be perfect in every single way. I'm trying to have things consolidated and balanced and everything. And that's not possible all at once, because there's different chapters each time that we are being guided through in this process.
And who's determined what your perfection should look like? It's somebody else's idea, right? None of it is your own idea. It's what everybody else has said that came before.
It's a different standard, yes, absolutely. But I gave myself such a ridiculously hard time, which I'm really good at. I can really go into full-on kamikaze, crashing down mode. And I really realized, hey, hang on, isn't it already amazing that I'm really conscious that I'm doing all these things? That I'm really conscious that I'm doing this action to someone and this action to someone, and I'm really aware of it. That doesn't mean I've healed it yet. It doesn't mean I've got full, I wouldn't say control, but you know, I'm still like trying to clear it, but at least I'm able to look at it. And that's all that's being asked of us at this time, is, are we willing to experience the little mini deaths inside of us each time to clear something? And also, are we willing to forgive ourselves? Because a lot of the things that we are living through right now are not actually all created here and now in this lifetime. A lot of stuff is in the DNA of our ancestors, as we all know. You know, it's passed on and passed on and passed on. And it's just activated in this life, often through epigenetics, where, you know, the environment helps with that activation. But a lot of these things are passed on to us because our ancestors hadn't consolidated it, hadn't completed that journey. And so we're with that now. And it's already a very brave and courageous thing to do this, to be with this and to say, okay, we know there's a time of bifurcation right now. Either we exit out, which is, in my opinion, what's going to happen, or we have these little mini deaths in this vessel and we transition to this other time. I've just spent 3 days with a very known international medium. Her name is Sandy Ingham. She's a lovely older lady. And she draws portraits of people that have passed over, and she's very amazing. And she has exactly the same vision that I've had, 11 years ago, where I really was shown this separation happening. And for a long time, I was concerned about, where are all these people going that are not going to face it and are not going to make this transition? Where are they going to go when they truly die in the physical? And I had this this thing where I thought, okay, they'll go into bardo state, they'll get stuck, they haven't consolidated. I had this fear for years on end. And just spending 3 days with this lovely medium, where she basically just said, no, it's absolute perfection. It's absolute perfection what's happening, even though it's really hard to keep having faith in that. The words that I got 11 years ago, the mass consensual ceremonial death. You know, the word consensual is on a soul level. It was a release for a lot of souls to let go of this earth experiment at this time, because they're unable to swing into this new paradigm. And it was just wonderful to receive messages from the other side through her about, you know, the journey that is awaiting a lot of people that are going to be probably exiting this planet very soon, and how perfect it really is. It really helped me to be much more accepting of the ignorance that I see around me, you know, the mass hypnosis that I'm seeing. I mean, it's getting worse by the day. It's beyond absurd now. But just spending time with her, I was like, no, it's perfection. It's almost like it's like getting lulled into a gentle sleep, you know, not needing to be confronted with all these things that a lot of people won't be able to handle with their consciousness. So yeah, that's my message of hope. You wanted it to be about a message of hope, you know, and to feel like, no, there's still perfection within this. I really feel that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chrissy. Go ahead, Nina.
I just wanted to say there's a lot of background noise from someone's end. So I don't know if we need to mute. It's a bit distracting. Well, gosh, I just thank you so much for all of your beautiful shares of vulnerability, of what you're all going through, because the collective is going through so much transformation right now, and it's so deep. It's like all these birth pains, and so many timelines are ending in order to be literally born again. And there's massive upgrades going on for everyone, which requires us to release or to make peace with these past pieces of even many incarnations of who we believed we were, or the role we've played for many lifetimes. It became really clear to me, the galactics have been making things really clear the past couple of days to me, that a lot of endings needed to occur during this retrograde, because certain souls are being called to their higher purpose, their higher calling. And when we get into a state of resistance or of not trusting or allowing, and we remain attached to the past, who we were in that past, even like a month ago, what we found comfortable about that, what made us feel good about that. But something that I want to share that I feel like is really important is the feeling of what you loved about that. You can take that feeling with you and recreate that into this new timeline, because it's all about us creating our own timelines right now. And that has been what's really powerfully come through for me recently, is we're birthing timelines constantly based upon our frequency and our vibration. And so I feel like in this past Mercury retrograde, and since the Lion's Gate, for me, I can just say it's been this journey of leave what we had told you, leave where we had told you to be, where we needed you anchored. Now we need you anchored somewhere else. And also because this timeline has completed, because you've become consciously aware of things you were not aware of before. And I don't really want to speak those things out right now, but now you're no longer safe here because you've jumped timelines, and this no longer resonates with that understanding. So now we're sending you to where there's a collective forming, where many people are coming together who are being called to be in this space together that is a massive amplifier on the planet. so that you can all assist together in regridding, in reconnecting galactic codes, so that the galactics, essentially the star seeds that are here at this time, can come together. Because some of these places on the planet are holding massive, like, inversions that are affecting the entire grid of the planet, because they're kind of like amplifiers of the whole grid. And I was so resistant in returning to this place that I had been before, that I've been called back to. So what's come up for me since returning is all these things that I couldn't actually face before, when I left this place the first time. And it's been like, wow, I got to see, I've been able to see all of my deep, deep vulnerabilities. And a lot of it has had tons to do around my female womb and my feminine sexuality, and feeling safe, just feeling safe, just being my beautiful, radiant starseed self. How do others perceive that? Is that threatening to others? When we're in our power and we're radiating our power and our light, it's okay if we triggers others' projections or perceptions. And so I feel like this really isn't different than when someone has taken the you know what and we have not. Well, yeah, because you are more radiant now than they are. You're more radiating source light energy. That is going to be threatening to someone who is now kind of accepting on a soul level to separate from that. Your timelines are being chosen to have different experiences. And so there's this massive need for us to be able to let go of everything else but source within us. And I know it's like, I have to keep getting to a point where I'm like, this isn't mine, that's not mine. This isn't mine, that's not mine. This isn't mine. Okay, I'm here on mission for a little while. And recently, again, it was like, okay, you've been in this certain area for a little while. Now we need you to move closer to this other area in this same area, because it's all about anchoring the light right now. And people are just like, how do you live like this? I'm like, I don't know. I just listen to the guidance, and then I have total faith that it happens. And I feel like that's where we are at, is your faith bigger in source in you than in the world and what's outside of you? So when I come into resistance of, but I liked my little house there, and I liked how things were there, and I liked how the setup was there, and I liked that container, and I had just gotten comfortable in it. It's like the galactics came in so clearly and said, what you liked about it, that feeling that you loved about it, you can have that here in an even